Just confirmed at Newcastle. There's been a sudden twist that no one saw coming, and it's already sending shockwaves through Tyneside. A major update has just dropped, involving one of the biggest transfer battles of the season. A midfield challenge straight from Eddie Howe himself. A long-lost dream that could finally come true, and a surprise move from the PIF that's got every Geordie talking. Things are heating up at St James Park faster than anyone expected, and the latest reports suggest the club's future might be taking a whole new direction. And that's not all, folks. From an incredible young generational talent chased by Premier League giants, to a potential reunion that could light up the Toons midfield, and a rising English star now seen as the face of the PIF project. This is one episode you can't afford to miss. So, if you're proud to be a Newcastle fan and never want to miss breaking news like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now, because things are getting serious on Tyneside. Jeremy Monga has suddenly become the talk of English football, and for good reason. The 16-year-old Leicester City sensation is now the subject of a fierce Premier League tug-of-war. Manchester City have reportedly moved ahead in the race for his signature, but Newcastle United are still quietly in the chase. Scouts at St James Park have been following Monga's rise for months, and they're convinced this lad could become something special. The question now is whether Newcastle can convince him that Tyneside is the place to take the next step in his young career. The story began when Pep Guardiola's side accelerated their interest following a string of impressive championship displays from the youngster. Monga, described as a generational talent by journalist Graham Bailey, has already played 11 first-team matches for Leicester and scored once against Preston North End back in August. That's a remarkable feat for a player who hasn't even turned 17 yet. What makes him stand out isn't just his skill or pace. It's his calmness, maturity, and the way he reads the game like a seasoned professional. Leicester City fans already know they've got a gem on their hands, but keeping him could be impossible. Because Monga is still 16, he can't sign a professional deal until June, meaning clubs like City and Newcastle are free to tempt him away. Manchester United and Chelsea are also hovering. Yet the buzz around Tyneside is that Newcastle see him as a perfect long-term investment. He fits Eddie Howe's vision, a young English player with the hunger, humility, and technical ability to grow into a Premier League star. That combination is exactly what Howe values most. For Manchester City, the move makes sense too. Guardiola has spoken openly about the need to find new attacking options beyond Erling Haaland. Players like Savigno and Jeremy Doku have shown flashes of brilliance, but both are still inconsistent. Guardiola wants to build the next generation of attackers, and Monga's versatility, being able to play on either wing or behind the striker, ticks every box. Still, the main concern is that he could be lost in City's endless pool of talent, something that Newcastle could use to their advantage. Newcastle United, under Howe and sporting director Ross Wilson, are taking a smarter approach to recruitment. Instead of just chasing superstars, they're identifying players who can grow within the system. Monga fits that philosophy perfectly. The Magpies have already shown faith in youth through Lewis Miley, who at just 17 has become a fan favorite. The club want more of that. Young English players who can become icons over time. If Monga wants real opportunities, Newcastle is one of the few Premier League clubs where that promise means something. Another advantage for Newcastle is emotional connection. The Geordie faithful have always embraced young talent, from Alan Shearer's early years to the modern rise of Anthony Gordon. There's a unique warmth and loyalty in the stands at St James Park that can't be found anywhere else. Imagine being 16, stepping out in front of 50,000 fans who believe in you. That's something no academy system can replicate. And Monga's camp reportedly appreciates the idea of a club that builds careers rather than stockpiling players. Sources close to Newcastle say the club are ready to act fast. They know that City's financial power is enormous, but that doesn't scare them. What Newcastle can offer is a clear development path and genuine Premier League minutes within 2 years. The Magpies coaching staff already have a reputation for improving young players quickly, thanks to Howe's attention to detail. It's the same environment that helped Gordon and Miley blossom, and Monga could be the next name added to that list if a deal is struck early. Still, Leicester will fight hard to keep their wonder kid. They're aware of his value and would prefer to tie him down as soon as possible. However, unless the Foxes secure promotion back to the Premier League, they might struggle to convince him to stay. Monga wants to test himself at the highest level, and Newcastle's project under the PIF ownership is an attractive proposition. A move to Tyneside would not only elevate his career, but also send a strong message that Newcastle can compete for the brightest young English talent. What's fascinating is how quickly Monga's name has exploded into the spotlight. Only months ago, he was playing youth football quietly, but his performances have made it impossible to ignore him. Scouts have compared his early composure to Bukayo Saka and Phil Foden, both players who broke through young and never looked back. For Newcastle, landing someone of that profile would represent both ambition and strategy. It would also strengthen the club's identity as a side that believes in building stars rather than buying them. In the end, this transfer chase might come down to one thing: vision. Manchester City can offer fame, trophies, and world-class facilities, but Newcastle can offer purpose, progression, and genuine belief. Jeremy Monga has the potential to become a household name in English football. Whether he chooses the bright lights of Manchester or the roaring heart of St. James Park, time will tell. But if the Magpies pull this off, it would prove that the future of English football might just belong to Newcastle United. If Newcastle do manage to bring Monga to St. James Park, it would not just be about signing a young prospect, it would be about setting a statement. A statement that Newcastle United are ready to compete with the traditional elite, not only for trophies but for the future of English football itself. Eddie Howe's project has always been about building a legacy, and adding a generational English talent like Jeremy Monga would symbolize exactly that. It would prove that Newcastle can attract brilliance, nurture it, and turn it into something truly world-class, right here on Tyneside. Jacob Ramsey's situation at Newcastle United has become one of the biggest talking points this week. After joining from Aston Villa for £43 million, many fans expected him to walk straight into Eddie Howe's starting 11. Yet, despite flashes of quality, Ramsey has spent more time on the bench than on the pitch. His absence from the starting lineup against Fulham, following his Champions League appearance versus Benfica, raised questions about his role. But Eddie Howe has made it clear, Ramsey's path to regular football depends on one thing: reaching peak physical condition. Eddie Howe has always been honest about what he expects from his players, and his message to Ramsey was as clear as ever. He's a fantastic talent, Howe said before the League Cup clash against Spurs. But he needs to be physically at his very best to show that technical brilliance. Those words weren't a criticism, but rather a challenge. Howe knows Ramsey's potential is huge, but the Premier League demands intensity, strength, and consistency. Three things that come only when a player is fully fit. For Ramsey, this could be the defining moment of his Newcastle career. The midfielder's time on Tyneside has been mixed so far. A promising debut against Benfica reminded everyone why Newcastle spent so much on him. However, a stubborn ankle injury limited his early appearances, making it difficult for him to find rhythm or confidence. The fans, known for their loyalty, have been patient, but there's growing anticipation to finally see the real Jacob Ramsey in full flow. He's already shown glimpses of brilliance, those quick turns, driving runs, and one-touch passes, but the Toon Army want more. And Howe believes he'll deliver, once his fitness matches his talent. When Ramsey signed in the summer, he joined a midfield already full of big names: Bruno Guimaraes, Sandro Tonali, Joe Linton. It was never going to be easy to break into that trio, especially with Joe Linton's physicality and Bruno's control in possession. Yet Ramsey offers something different, a spark of creativity and flair that Newcastle have lacked at times. While Tonali provides precision and Bruno dictates tempo, Ramsey brings unpredictability. Howe's challenge is finding the balance, giving Ramsey minutes to grow while maintaining stability in a team chasing top four ambitions. The real question, however, is how far Ramsey can go under Eddie Howe. The manager's track record with young English talent is excellent. Just look at Anthony Gordon, written off at Everton, now one of Newcastle's brightest stars. Howe's patience, coaching, and trust transformed him. Ramsey could follow the same path if he accepts the physical challenge. It's not just about training hard. It's about adapting to the intensity Howe demands every single day. Players who respond thrive. Those who don't, fade away. For Ramsey, This is a test of resilience as much as skill. Inside the club, there's optimism. Coaches say Ramsey's attitude has been spot on despite his limited game time. He's stayed behind after sessions, working on strength and endurance, determined to impress. Eddie Howe reportedly loves that mindset. He's told his staff that Ramsey will become a top player if he continues that dedication. The message is simple. Keep fighting, stay patient, and your moment will come. At just 24, time is on his side, and Newcastle's packed fixture list means rotation will be inevitable. His chance is coming. It's only a matter of when. Tactically, Ramsey's versatility could also make him indispensable. He's capable of playing as a central midfielder, a wide midfielder, or even in a more attacking role just behind the striker. That flexibility suits Howe perfectly, especially with injuries and fixture congestion piling up. Against Benfica, we saw how Ramsey can glide past opponents and open up space for others, a rare quality in the current Newcastle squad. Howe wants to see more of that, but only when his confident Ramsey can handle 90 minutes of high-intensity football without risk of injury. The manager's cautious approach might frustrate fans, but it's smart management. Howe knows the Premier League can be brutal on players returning from injury, especially those who rely on athleticism. Ramsey's best qualities, his energy, timing, and dribbling, all depend on sharpness. Bringing him back too early could set him back months. Newcastle's coaching staff are carefully managing his workload, slowly building him up to ensure that when he does become a regular starter, he stays there. Patience is the name of the game, something Howe preaches constantly behind closed doors. Of course, competition for midfield spots remains fierce. Bruno and Toon Army are automatic starters when fit, while Joelinton brings power and presence. Yet, the Brazilian hasn't been at his best lately. That's where Ramsey could take advantage. His technical control and passing range offer a different dynamic, one that could unlock stubborn defenses. In several training sessions, Ramsey has reportedly outshone his teammates in small-sided drills, showcasing the flair that made him such a hit at Aston Villa. If he keeps that level up, Howe won't be able to ignore him for much longer. For Newcastle fans, there's excitement building around Ramsey's story. They've seen this before, a young player arriving with high expectations, struggling at first, then blossoming under Eddie Howe's guidance. The fans love a fighter, and Ramsey's determination fits perfectly with that spirit. The Geordies don't just want stars, they want players who earn it. And Ramsey is doing exactly that. If he can return to full fitness and show his technical magic on the pitch, he could soon be a vital part of Newcastle's midfield for years to come. Lucas Paqueta's name has once again been linked with Newcastle United, and this time, there's a real sense of excitement on Tyneside. For years, the Brazilian midfielder has been a dream target for the club and its supporters. Now, that dream might finally have a chance of becoming reality. Reports from the Times claim that Paqueta wants to leave West Ham when the January transfer window opens, reigniting speculation about a move to St. James Park. For Newcastle fans, the possibility of reuniting him with his close friend Bruno Guimaraes feels like destiny calling. It's no secret that Bruno and Paqueta share a strong bond, both on and off the pitch. Their chemistry at Lyon was electric, two creative Brazilians who complemented each other perfectly. When Bruno joined Newcastle in 2022, he openly admitted he wanted Paqueta to follow him. At the time, the club made an attempt, but West Ham moved quicker and paid £51 million for his signature. Now, with Paqueta reportedly seeking a new challenge, Newcastle suddenly find themselves in a position where the stars might align once again. Bruno Guimaraes has made no effort to hide his admiration for his compatriot. In a 2024 interview, he said, "Lucas Paqueta is one of my best friends, and I'd love to play with him again." That comment didn't go unnoticed by fans or the club's hierarchy. It's the kind of reunion supporters dream about. Two Brazilian midfield maestros running the show at St. James Park, combining flair with intelligence and energy. The idea alone has sparked excitement across social media, with fans imagining the Samba connection lighting up the Premier League. However, the situation is more complex than it seems. Newcastle's new sporting director, Ross Wilson, is expected to take a cautious approach this January. Sources close to the club suggest that big money signings are unlikely during the winter window. Financial fair play restrictions are tight, and the Magpies must manage their spending carefully. While Paqueta's talent is unquestionable, his price tag and age could become sticking points. At 28, he's approaching his peak years, but Newcastle's owners have typically targeted younger players who can develop further and hold resale value. That said, Eddie Howe remains an admirer of Paqueta's qualities. He sees him as the kind of player who can unlock deep defenses, something Newcastle have struggled with recently. Despite having technical players like Bruno and Jacob Ramsey, Howe's system sometimes lacks that final creative spark in midfield. Paqueta, with his flair, quick passing, and ability to dictate play, would offer exactly that. The question is whether Newcastle are willing to break their current transfer structure for a player of his experience and price range. For Bruno, the move would mean more than just improving the team. It would bring a friend, a familiar face, and a teammate who understands his rhythm on the pitch. Together, they could form one of the most technically gifted midfield pairings in England. Fans still remember the joy of watching them together at Lyon. The tricks, the one-touch passing, the smiles. It wasn't just good football, it was art. Bringing that connection to the Premier League would be a statement that Newcastle are not just competing, but evolving into something special. On the other hand, there are doubts about whether West Ham would even consider selling to a direct rival. Losing Paqueta would be a massive blow for them, especially in the middle of the season. They already fought hard to keep him last summer, when Aston Villa tried to sign him, and now they may find themselves in another tug-of-war. The only way Newcastle could realistically land him is if the player himself pushes for the move. Given the current rumors, that possibility cannot be ruled out. Financially, it's a delicate situation. Newcastle's owners, the PIF, have shown ambition but also restraint. They're building a project for the long term, focusing on balance and sustainability. Spending big on a 28-year-old could be seen as risky, particularly after the heavy investment in players like Yoane Wissa and Sandro Tonali. However, the emotional value of bringing Paqueta could outweigh the risks. His arrival could lift spirits, boost morale, and send a strong message about Newcastle's intent to challenge the traditional top four. In many ways, Paqueta's story mirrors Newcastle's transformation, full of ambition, setbacks, and renewed hope. He's a player with flair, grit, and a desire to prove himself at the very top. And Newcastle are a club with that same hunger. Fans can easily picture him wearing the black and white, orchestrating attacks alongside Bruno while the Gallowgate roars in approval. Whether it happens in January or the summer, the connection between player and club feels too strong to fade away completely. Ultimately, the decision may rest with Eddie Howe and Ross Wilson. If they believe Paqueta can take Newcastle's midfield to the next level, the club will find a way to make it happen. It may not be easy, and it may not be cheap, but the rewards could be enormous. Reuniting Paqueta and Bruno would be more than a transfer. It would be a statement of ambition, friendship, and faith in Newcastle's future. For now, fans will keep dreaming, because sometimes, dreams on Tyneside have a funny way of coming true. If the move ever happens, it would be more than just a transfer. It would be a reunion written in footballing fate. Newcastle's project under Eddie Howe has always been about ambition with identity, and Paqueta fits that perfectly. He's not only a flair player but a fighter, someone who embodies the mix of beauty and grit that Newcastle fans adore. Reuniting him with Bruno wouldn't just add quality, it would add chemistry, heart, and joy. Two Brazilians smiling their way through midfield, turning the roar of St. James Park into pure samba rhythm. That's the kind of football Geordies dream about. Anthony Gordon's journey at Newcastle United is the story of a player who refused to give up. When he left Everton, many questioned his temperament and consistency. But under Eddie Howe, he's silenced every critic with performances full of pace, grit, and passion. In the Champions League, he's been unplayable. 5 goal contributions already this season, more than any other Magpie. His transformation from a promising youngster to a genuine star has turned him into the pride of Tyneside and, more importantly, the face of the club's new era. The PIF, Newcastle's ambitious owners, see Gordon as the perfect symbol of what they're building. They call him the poster boy of their project, the player who represents energy, work ethic, and hope. For the consortium, having an English player lead their vision is crucial. It connects the local fan base to the global ambition behind the scenes. And Gordon fits that narrative beautifully. He's not a superstar with an ego. He's a hard-working lad who plays for the badge and leaves everything on the pitch. Eddie Howe deserves huge credit for unlocking that potential. He's turned Gordon into one of the most complete forwards in the Premier League. The winger now presses with intelligence, tracks back relentlessly, and makes decisive runs into space. Howe once said, "Anthony plays every match like it's his last, and you can see it. Every sprint, every tackle, every celebration. It's all done with raw passion." That emotional connection between player, manager, and supporters has transformed him from a talent into a hero. Behind the scenes, Gordon's impact goes beyond the pitch. The PIF view him as a marketable figure, a player who embodies Newcastle's values. His humility in interviews, his discipline in training, and his willingness to represent the club abroad make him the perfect ambassador. When Alexander Isak left for Liverpool earlier this summer, Newcastle needed a new face for the project. Gordon stepped up naturally. He didn't ask for it, but he earned it through performance and attitude, and that's exactly the kind of leadership Howe wants in his dressing room. Of course, the Liverpool rumours haven't gone away. Reports suggest that his boyhood club have monitored him, hoping one day to tempt him back. But Newcastle have made their stance clear. Gordon is not for sale. The Chronicle reported that the club gave no indication whatsoever that they'd even consider offers. Howe has privately told the board that Gordon is untouchable, and the player himself has echoed that loyalty publicly. For Gordon, the story is simple. Newcastle believed in him when others didn't, and is determined to repay that faith. Rumors of a release clause in his contract continue to swirl, but there's no evidence that it will be triggered anytime soon. Insiders say Gordon's focus remains entirely on Newcastle. He loves the fans, the city, and the sense of belonging he's found at St. James Park. That emotional attachment means more than money. In a football world filled with short-term deals and constant transfers, Gordon's loyalty is refreshing. It's why supporters chant his name louder with every goal and every lung-busting run down the flank. The PIF couldn't have asked for a better representative. Gordon's rise reflects everything they want Newcastle United to stand for: development, identity, and progress. They know foreign stars bring glamour, but homegrown heroes bring unity. Gordon's presence keeps the club grounded while still pushing it forward. He's living proof that Newcastle can create world-class players within their own system. That's a powerful message, not only to fans but to young footballers across England who dream of wearing black and white one day. Comparing him to Isak, who forced his way out, shows how much character matters. Isak's exit left a void that many thought couldn't be filled. Yet Gordon has stepped into that space with grace and determination. Instead of sulking or hesitating, he became the leader the club needed. The fans have responded in kind. His name is now sung with the same intensity once reserved for Newcastle's legends. And the truth is, he's earning that respect one match at a time, with hard work, humility, and heart. Eddie Howe has often said that success at Newcastle won't come overnight. It will come through effort, loyalty, and belief. Gordon embodies all three. He trains like a warrior, plays like a fan, and speaks with the confidence of someone who understands what this club means. His proof that money can't buy chemistry or passion. The PIF's millions might build infrastructure, but players like Gordon build identity. And that's the foundation of everything Newcastle are trying to achieve in this new golden era. For the Geordie faithful, Anthony Gordon represents hope, not the distant kind, but the kind you can see every weekend on the pitch. He's not just a winger. He's a symbol of Newcastle's revival, a living reminder that belief and hard work can change everything. His story resonates deeply with the people of Tyneside, who know what it means to fight for something bigger than yourself. Gordon's rise isn't just his own victory, it's Newcastle's victory, too. And that's why his bond with this club feels unbreakable. If there's one thing that defines Anthony Gordon, it's hunger, pure, relentless hunger. Every time he steps onto the pitch, you can feel that fire. It's the same fire that fuels Eddie Howe's project and the same passion that burns in the hearts of Newcastle fans. Gordon has become a reflection of everything the club stands for: courage, progress, and pride. Whether he's scoring in Europe or chasing down opponents in the final minute, his energy inspires the team and the supporters alike. For the PIF, he's not just the poster boy, he's the beating heart of Newcastle United's new era. For massive stories this week, Newcastle fans. A transfer race that could shape the future with young Jeremy Monga, a midfield challenge that could make Jacob Ramsey stronger than ever, a reunion dream that could bring Lucas Paqueta to Bruno's side, and a star who's become the face of the PIF project, Anthony Gordon. Every corner of this club is alive with ambition and belief. So tell me, Geordies, should Newcastle go all in for Monga? Is Ramsey ready to start every week? Would you welcome Paqueta home to play beside Bruno again? And is Anthony Gordon truly the symbol of this new Newcastle era? Let me know below. I want to hear what you think. You're the reason this club beats with pride, passion, and power. Keep the faith, and never stop believing. Wait, before you go, check out this breaking video from Newcastle.